Someone who understands these issues very well, Anthony Pompliano, founder and CEO of Professional Capital Management, host of the Pomp podcast. Very successful. Good to see you, handsome. Happy Thanksgiving.
Thanks for having me, Chris.
All right, so what could we be suspicious about in this? I mean, to me, it just sounds like a good idea. Super rich guy wants to do something, doing it through the government so that it can be, I guess what, managed the right way? What do you think of this idea?
I think, first of all, you got to understand that the Invest America Act in general was, I think, a bipartisan, well-supported, very good idea. So the government putting $1,000 into these accounts, I think people understand that if you give people a stake in the capitalistic system, they're much more likely to be a fan of that. They're benefiting. They're in a better spot financially. And so I don't think there was a lot of controversy, frankly, from the original kind of mandate. Now, what it did do is it left a bunch of people who were kind of right outside of the threshold saying, well, what about me, right? What about my kid who just misses that threshold? And I think that the government at some point's got to draw a line, right? They got to make hard decisions. How much are we going to put in? Who we're going to give it to? And so what we have here is we have a private citizen who's saying, hey, I'm going to go and I'm going to help a friend. Now, a lot of people, I think, are asking about the president, but actually Brad Gerstner, the guy who's really the impetus or the source of this idea, he's been the one who's been really pushing this. He's the one who helped get the legislation done. And he's not only gone to Michael Dell, he's gone to a lot of companies as well. And so, whether it's Jensen Huang at NVIDIA and others. And what I think is most interesting is this may be some of the most efficient philanthropy that we've actually seen in recent memory. You're taking $6.25 billion and you're giving it directly to your intended target. There's not NGOs in the way. There's not a lot of kind of the bureaucracy and red tape. Now, it'll take some time to see how effective is this program, but I think that there's going to be a pretty big portion of people who are inspired that a private citizen is taking this on and saying, I'm going to go help 25 million children. I'm going to do it in a way where it's direct support rather than going through kind of the nonprofit apparatus that a lot of people are questioning now.
Yeah, I mean, look, we'll have to see who gets the management and what kind of fee structure and what do they get for giving. Is it more than the traditional tax-related giving? We'll have to see how that part plays out. But as an idea, I got to tell you, I like it. Now, what I don't like, and I need you to help me understand, is this drop in crypto. So as an ignorant person, my concern about crypto is there's no regressive cash flow analysis of underlying worth of this instrument, and everybody's excited about it because they think it gets rich quick, and then all of a sudden it just dumped because of Japan or whatever it was, like $1 gazillion worth of value. Is this what crypto really is? Not predictable, not dependable, or are we missing it?
Well, I think there's a couple of things, right? If you go and you talk to a financial advisor, they'll usually tell you the safest thing is cash or U.S. Treasuries. But if you look at something like TLT, which measures the 20-year Treasury rate, it's down over 40% over the last 5 years. It's down about 2% over the last year or so. So U.S. Treasuries, the thing that's seen as the safest thing in a portfolio, is pretty much engineered to just lose money. And so I think that, what's risky and what's not comes into question. Now, the other thing about Bitcoin is over the last 3 years, the compound annual growth rate is 72%. And so everyone who's kind of worried about the last couple of weeks, they are missing just even the last 3 years of performance has been very attractive. But I think the more important component is people who are buying Bitcoin are looking for volatility. If they go in their portfolio, they want some things that are safe and don't move a lot and are very stable. They may look to the U.S. dollars for that. They want some things that drive some sort of return, maybe 10 to 12%. They'll look to U.S. equities for that. But they also want something that's really, really volatile, right? And so that's where Bitcoin comes in. Now, what's interesting about Bitcoin is over the last decade, Bitcoin has averaged a global financial crisis about every 18 months for a decade. That sounds really scary, right? Is the price has dropped 50% or more almost every 18 months for a decade. That sounds like you would want to avoid that asset. But if I told you that that asset has actually gone up over 200x during that decade, all of a sudden you're very interested in it. And so the thing that people are realizing in this younger generation is they need volatility. They're seeking out the volatility. They want to understand what are the things that could go up a lot because they feel like the traditional investment portfolio is not helping them get ahead. And so something like Bitcoin ends up becoming really interesting because of that volatility.
No risk, no reward. Pomp, I appreciate you. Thank you for making it understandable to the rest of us who are not as smart and as good looking as you, even if we are Italian. Thank you very much,
Trying
Anthony.
to be
All
like
the best
you when
to you
I
and the
grow
family.
up. All right.
Got to aim a lot higher, brother. Aim a lot higher. Thank you for watching. Subscribe below and download our NewsNation app right now on your phone, and you will get fact-based, unbiased news for all Americans.